and I'm actually going to use my tape measure to go ahead and line up the holes so they are as close to being even as possible. Like I said, you might want to just use your I always struggle with this tape measure, yo. What's up, y'all? It's your boy Chris from Afro Beets, back at it again, and today we're going to be showing you how to make these cages right here. These two guys have been super helpful as far as just protecting my space and all the goodies I got inside. I don't want any birds or, you know, insects that are just going to destroy everything, so it's great to have a cover. These also help with keeping your crops cool, you know, in the winter when you have like a lot more intense conditions. This is going to come super in handy. So I'm going to teach you how to make this today. This is an extension of the video where we did the 5-gallon containers. So if you didn't see that video, go check that out first. And this is basically the next step. So if you like this content, if this video brings you any value, make sure to like and subscribe to this channel. And yeah, let's get to it. All right, so let's get started with our tools again. First thing you're going to need something to cut that metal wire, that cage that's going to surround your container. You're going to need a cover. You can get this off of Amazon. I think it's like $10, but that's going to help keep the bugs in, different critters out. You're also going to need a drill. You're also going to use the same bit as you did for actually putting holes in the container. It's about 3/16 pilot bit. So that's going to come super in handy. Then you're also going to have the DeWalt, or just any tape measure is fine. You're going to need a bungee cord to really tie everything together and secure it so the wind doesn't pick it up. You're going to need that metal wire I was talking about. It comes in a coil. It's pretty cheap on Amazon as well. I'll put all those in the description. And of course, whatever container you're going to be using, we're using a 5-gallon container. You're also going to need a Sharpie. I don't know why I always forget this, but you're going to need this to mark. You're going to need some twine or any kind of string, something to cut it with. And then you're also going to need scissors to cut that row cover. All right, so when you have your drill, you're going to go ahead and kind of line up where you want to put your holes. You need a total of 4 holes. Be careful to make sure you are drilling into the edge and not the actual container that's holding the soil and the water. And so right now I'm just putting in the holes, and I'm actually going to use my tape measure to go ahead and line up the holes so they are as close to being even as possible. Like I said, you might want to just use your I always struggle with this tape measure, yo. You might just want to use your Sharpie to go ahead and mark the holes so you know where to put them, but I'm just basically lining it up. All right, so I'm carefully just drilling my holes here, using just the lip of the container to put the holes in and not the main part of the container. And so once I do it on one side, I'm going to do it on the opposite side of the container, making sure there's holes on both sides. Make sure the hole is, you know, fully clear so there's nothing inside and there's no debris. All right, so now I'm taking my wire and I'm going to measure out a minimum of 4 feet. I would say anywhere from, let's say, 4 to 8 feet can be how you measure these out. I just don't have a ton of wire yet, so mine is a little smaller, and I'm using smaller plants, so that's why I'm using that. Once you go ahead and cut that and make sure it comes apart, you're going to use that and bend it so it kind of makes like a U shape here. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect, but you're going to cut out 2 pieces about the same size. Once you cut out those 2 pieces, you're going to find your holes that you put on the lips, and you're going to do 1 piece at a time. Okay, so we're taking our first hoop, we're plugging it into those holes. Once you securely get them into the holes, you want to push it down so there's a little bit of slack at the end of your metal wire. And once you get the little slack, you're going to take the bottom of the metal wire that you inserted into the container, and you're actually going to be bending it. So you can see the little bit of excess that I'm putting. You want to get it to about the right height. I would say you need at least a foot clearance for your taller plants to get started off. So right now I'm really taking that excess at the bottom and kind of pinching it so that it's kind of rubbing against the container. You can actually see how it's kind of being forced and pinched to a point where they're overlapping each other, the excess part and then the part that holds the hoop. And now I'm doing the other side. Hopefully you can see this. So I'm going to go ahead and bend it almost like in the same way we made a U shape. We're doing the same thing, but the bottom of the container and the bottom of the wire. And I'm really compressing it together and holding it, you know, like those knuckle presses or things you hold in your hands and strengthens your hands. It's kind of like that. You want to get a good grip on it. And at this point, it should be hanging like a bucket. You know, you got that wire on it. That means it's pretty solid. That's what you want. Once you do that, we're going to go ahead and do the next side. So I'm literally doing the same thing on the other side and just kind of laying it on top so that it's crossed like this. It should look like this, folks. Should be a nice big X, and this is the time you can kind of shape your kind of cage as you would like to make sure it's nice and even. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and take our twine here and we're going to give it one good tie to connect both of like the cages. I'm gonna give it a good tie there, and then you're gonna tie it again. I can do like a second tie, and then you're going to wrap it in between the X's, if that makes sense. You're gonna wrap it the opposite way too, so like horizontally and vertically. You're going to wrap it a couple ways and then tie it as well. Every time you wrap it between the two wires, you're going to give it another tie. And this is just to help you get secure, and then you just tie it how you would like to make sure it's secure. So it should be nice and tight. If there's a little excess, that's no problem. You can always use that to adjust later, but you should be able to pull your container by the string and give it a nice rotation like this. All right, so now it's time for our cover. Once you go ahead and drape the cover over, you want it to cover the whole thing basically, because you're going to be adjusting this as your plant grows from top to bottom, from the top of the cage where you tied to the bottom of the container. You want to make sure it at least kind of almost hits the ground. And so right now I'm just literally cutting around it to make a kind of circular shape. I'm sure there's a better way to do this more efficiently and save on cover, but I just didn't have the time in this video and I was just kind of rushing. And so right now I'm just getting it so it wraps all the way around. And you're going to want to adjust the top once you go ahead and cut this around, and make sure it's draped over evenly on each side. All right, so this is just me doing a little check to make sure everything is draped evenly on each side, kind of adjusting the container so it's overlapping evenly. And now I'm going to take my bungee cord and literally just wrap it around and connect it. And this is just going to secure it from any wind or anything that might hit against your container. And you just kind of pull the bottom like a skirt or something like that. And there you go, voila. All right, y'all, so that's it for today. As you can see, these are great ways to protect your containers. If you love this video, brought you value, subscribe to the channel. Also, share this video with your fellow gardeners and foodies of someone who needs to protect their own container. I love y'all, I appreciate y'all, and remember, keep moving to the beat of your own drum. Talk to you later, fam. Peace.